2012 BMW X5 E70 lower control arm bushing replacement. I'm Brian Eslick from How To Automotive. I'm going to walk you through the steps of replacing those. We're going to get started by getting the vehicle up in the air. If you're doing this at home, you're going to use floor jacks and jack stands, and you want to jack it up on the body over here, and you want the suspension hanging fully. So after getting your vehicle in the air, the bushings that we're going to be replacing are the ones, sometimes they're referred to as radius arm bushings. So we're going to replace the bushing that goes up here underneath the cover here. It's mounted to the subframe. So we need to get the lower splash shield cover off. So you're just going to take the screws out and just follow them around the perimeter and remove the shield. And you're also going to remove the front tire. When removing wheels on European cars, they have these stud style bolts. And when you take off the last bolt, the wheel is most likely to fall. And I actually broke my kneecap a couple of years ago by the wheel falling down and then bouncing back and hitting me in the knee. So to prevent that happening, I would recommend that you use a tool like this. It's called a wheel stud pilot tool. So you take out a lug nut and you screw the tool in like that. And it comes in a kit like this. This one's made by Lyle. These are pretty inexpensive. These also help when you go to reinstall the wheel. You're not floating the wheel and trying to start the bolts at the same time. I'll leave a link for this in the description of the video, so look for those there. So after getting the wheels off, I'm doing left hand, right side. The same. I'm going to film one side. The process is going to be the same for the both left or right side. So the next step is after we get the wheels off and the lower shield off, the main shield off, there's going to secondary shield little cover right here. So this got a little couple screws. So we're just going to take this lower little cover off right here. And the reason why we need to get access to the bolt back here, and it's right behind this cover. So there's a couple of 8mm screws here, and you don't even have to take it all the way off. Just get it where you can pull it down and out of your way. So I just took the two bolts out here and here, and you can flare it out of your way. Now we can get to the bolt in the back here. Okay, so now what we're going to do is we're going to put a wrench on the right here and remove the bolt, and then this arm will swing down. After that, we'll remove the nut here. Okay, when you get the 18mm bolt and nut off, when you go to take it out, it's going to hit the plastic shield a little bit, but it's flexible enough where you can flex it out of the way and still get it out. And the way I get it out, once I get them out here, I use my ratchet to spin it out as far as I can, and once I get it out about yay far, then you can put your wrench behind it like this. You can pry it out. Or you could take a little brass hammer or rubber mallet and hit the back of the wrench and drive the bolt out. Okay, once you get the bolt out, the arm will swing down like so. And now we need to pop it out of the little spindle here. And the way I'm going to do that is I'm going to put the nut back on there, and I'm going to take a hammer like this, and I'm going to strike the spindle right there several times, and this ball joint little portion of it will pop out. So after about 3 whacks with the hammer right there, the ball joint has popped free. Now you can go ahead and remove the nut. And then you can go ahead and maneuver it's coming out. You kind of twist the arm like this, and it'll clear the axle, and it'll pop out. Okay, now that we got the arm out, this is the bushing we're going to be replacing. You can buy the whole arm with the new ball joint and the bushing all as one assembly. It's actually a lot easier to just change it out like that. But it can be pretty pricey replacing the whole arm. So we're just going to press this bushing out and install a new bushing. And this is the part we're using. And the part numbers, I will link these up in the description of the video. That way if you guys need to pick those up, you can get those. Okay, before I press them out, I took a little whiteout like this and made a little reference. These bushings are designed to go in one way, so I like to make the mark, that way I can press them in exactly the way they came out. Also, you can turn them on the side and you can measure how far the left and right the bushing is, and basically the bushing needs to be pressed in center of the control arm. But if you want to, you can make a measurement, and that way you know you got it in to the proper depth. Also, to pop these ball joint portions out, you can use a little bit of a PB Blaster by Blaster Company penetrating oil. Just spray a little dab on there, and that'll help pop these out too. Okay, so now we're going to press the old bushing out, and the way we're going to do that is you're going to get in your press like this, set up 2 plates like this, and then you're going to put the the edge of the control arm underneath the plates like that, and then center it up underneath your anvil here. So now the trick I'm going to show you is you take the brand new part and you line it up exactly with the old part like this. So you make sure all the grooves, everything is lined up exactly the way the old part is. And what we're going to do is we're actually going to use the new part to press out the old part, and it'll prep and install itself at the same time. So once you get that all lined up, then you're going to need a flat piece of metal. I'm using a spacer for one of my bearing tools, and you're going to put that on there, and then you're going to, in my case I have a pretty large gap, so I'm going to use a socket in between. So I use a socket in between to fill up the gap. Now I'm going to pump the jack. As you can see, it's starting to compress the bushings. And if you look, once I get pretty close to where they're touching, if you look, the gap is off a little bit. So what I'm going to do to straighten that out is take a little hammer like this and just tap it into place. And if it doesn't want to go, then you release a little bit of the pressure, and then do it until you get it in the ballpark. And you want to check all the way around, so you may have to tap it back in or whatever. Get it lined up. So once it's all lined up, you just pump the handle. So as you can see, I'm using the bushing to push out the old bushing, and you're just going to keep pushing, pressing it until the bushing starts pressing into and you're just going to make it where it's 50-50 on each side left over. And the old bushing will just fall out the other side, and you just keep pressing it in until it's halfway, all the way through. Got the same amount of gap on each side. Once you get the bushing halfway through on each, where it's equal on each side, then you're pretty much done. And when you're done, it'll look like that. So we're going to put the ball joint portion of the arm in first. I have the wheel, I'm working on the passenger side, and I have the wheel slightly turned to the right. And that gives you a little extra clearance to clear the axle. So then you just rotate it in there, and you just get it started like that, and then you can go ahead and put the nut and the washer on the bottom here just to hold it in place. Okay, now we're going to swing the arm up into position. And if you see how the hole doesn't line up, so you're going to grab your suspension over here like this, and you can pull it like that, and that'll help slide it in. To get the bolt started, what I did was I took the control arm and twisted it where this portion of it's pointing upwards a little bit, so I twisted it clockwise a little bit, and that put it at a little angle like this. And then I started the bolt in here, and the reason why you have to get it at a little angle is because it hits the little plastic cover here. And once you get it at a little angle like that, you can get the bolt to start. Then I use my little pry bar here with and I put it on the end of the bolt right here, and then you just use the hammer and hit the end of it, and that starts to drive it in there. Once you get it going, then you twist the control arm back level, and then you drive it in with the hammer, and it'll go through. Now once you got the bolt all the way through, you can go ahead and start the nut on the back side, and you can tighten this down to 75 foot-pounds, and then you can torque the ball joint one here down to 120 foot-pounds. After you get the bolts tight here and here, you can go ahead and put your little shield back up, and your lower shield back up, and your wheel back on. And that'll complete the job of replacing the lower control arm bushings on a 2012 BMW X5 to E70 model. I'm Brian Eslick from How To Automotive. I'd like to thank you guys for watching my videos. Encourage you to subscribe. Invite you to head over to the howtoautomotive.com website for more valuable videos like this. And also to remind you, I will be linking up the parts for this car in the description of the video. And I'd like to thank you again for watching.